Bohan. Good evening. Welcome to another session of live interviews in line with the South Asian Educational Summit 2022. So let me just brief on this summit prior to starting this interview. It's the South Asian International Educational Summit 2022, which will be held from 18th to 20th June 2022 in Colombo, Sri Lanka. So this summit is about, it's focusing on ECCD and general education. And we have many events planned in line with this summit. Prior to the summit, we planned many activities like the presentations, the live interviews. So this is one such event. And I take this as an opportunity to invite you all for the physical summit in June. So this discussion is going to be about the teaching learning process of English as a subject in India. And for that, I guess we have the ideal guest from India today, Dr. Shelly Bisht, Deputy Center Superintendent, SGN India. Welcome, madam. And we have Dr. Dheeraj Malhotra, the principal of Kunwar Global School. Welcome, sir. And we have Mr. John Kamagudu, the president of the association. Welcome, sir. So prior to starting this, I would like to invite our special guest, Dr. Dheeraj, to give a brief, explanation on our summit and about how we proceed so far.
Well, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Today we have a wonderful speaker from India, Dr. Shelly Bisht, and I wish her all the best. And we look forward to the event in physical, which is scheduled from 18th to 20th of June in Colombo. And I appreciate all the wonderful speakers at this platform, looking forward with their preface of bringing quality as a priority in academics. So all the very best and have a wonderful learning. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And I would like to invite Dr. Shelly as well to give a brief self-introduction on herself.
Thank you so much, Hasini, for the wonderful introduction of mine, and Dr. Dheeraj Malhotra, who is a renowned figure in India, for the wonderful introduction of mine. Yes, good evening, everybody. This is Dr. Shelly Bisht. I am an educator from the last 21 years, an international speaker, social activist, and writer. And I am in the field of teaching English from the last 21 years. And it is such a welcome invite I have received from you all. So looking forward for a good summit from you all. Thank you so much, Hasini.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Oh, well, as we all know, we all are aware about the critical role, played by English as a second language in the present context, because it gives all kinds of opportunities in communication, like quality and education, and it breaks down communication barriers because it's a lingua franca. In other words, like English is the most commonly used language among foreign language speakers. So it's obvious that developing economies need access to English if they are to grow and position themselves in the global economy. So as a child is the basic unit of the growing society, we have to make them competent in English, especially in speaking English, in spoken English. So in this interview, we are going to discuss how we are going to do this, it's in India, how in India this is happening, what are the barriers they have, what are the strategies they're practicing. All these things we are going to discuss in this interview with Dr. Shelly. So I think with that we can start the interview. Ma'am, now the language proficiency is a measurement of how well an individual has mastered the language. For example, this could be in terms of speaking, writing, listening, and reading for a student. So how do you explain this level of proficiency for English language among your school children?
Yeah, Hasini, well, if I talk about right now, I am the Deputy Center Superintendent of CBSE examination and the head examiner for English Term 2 CBSE examination. So as far as the English language proficiency is considered, I believe it is associated with social, emotional, and behavioral functioning in children. Now, if I talk about my own school, then after controlling of child, family and school characteristics, now children, who are proficient at an early age, now they show a slightly better behavior. Okay, but if you talk about the attention, if you talk about the eagerness to learn, and even the organizational, between the kindergarten, I mean, I'm talking about the children who are 5 to 6 years of age, and also about the fifth grade who are basically 10 to 11 years of age. Now, in those children, you can find a bit, I mean, if you talk about the monolingual children, now in contrast, now children who are not proficient in English by say first grade, they have shown a comparatively better behavior, but poorer attention, now eagerness to learn, and organization between kindergarten and fifth grade relative to monolingual children. Now, similarly, few children showed greater social, emotional, and behavioral functioning at age 4 compared to monolingual English children. And if I talk about the senior children, then, the English proficiency level is much higher in comparison to the middle school and in comparison to the primary level children.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Now, as Asians, as non-native speakers of English, I mean, our students are obviously facing a lot of difficulties while learning English. So what's your opinion on this?
Yeah, if you talk about the challenges, then challenges faced by the second language students of English can include lack of exposure, overuse of language one, that is the mother tongue I'm talking about, and then in case, I mean, in certain cases we can even have some unskilled teachers also, wherein no emphasis on English is there. Then we can have some cultural barriers also to learning as well as the cost. However, if you talk about a very good teacher, then that particular teacher can develop strategies and methods to tackle challenges and include as many students as possible. Now, the language itself can cause challenges as faced by the second language of English, just as it could be the learning cost in the form of German also. Now, learning a subsequent language is difficult. However, English is an amalgamation of many cultures, languages, and civilizations. Now, many English rules have certain exceptions also. Now, one of the most common popular is I before E, except after C, which has even more exceptions. So because of certain limitations, people generally have difficulties in learning English. For an example, likewise, English borrows from many languages. One rule may indeed be for all words borrowed from the Romance languages, but Germanic languages or Slavic may have different rules. Now, grammar rules are challenging to learn when they come from so many different places. Additionally, even if you talk about the pronunciations and letter combinations, they can have even very different pronunciation for different tenses or part of speech. Think of different ways to pronounce red, R-E-A-D, and the pronunciation is different when I speak again red, which is again R-E-D. Red is you're reading something you have already read, and R-E-D, the other one, that is the color we are talking about. But pronunciation is same, but the meanings are very much different. So English can be challenging to learn because of the difficulty to pinpoint rules and phonetic combinations, among other difficulties as well.
Yeah, now when we are discussing barriers to effective learning and speaking English, the teacher is another party who is undergoing these difficulties. So what are the difficulties faced by the teachers when teaching English language?
Yeah, now this is a good question. Basically, the first difficulty which an English teacher can face, that is the class condition. For an example, suppose if I teach class 12th, to be very honest, the class condition might be very boring at times, because students mostly play their gadgets and are very, very difficult to manage. I'm talking about the pandemic period, because nowadays also we are having the hybrid mode, because when the examinations are there, we are going for the online mode. When the examinations are not there, we are going again for the offline mode. So online is still there. So this is the problem which I face. Now, perhaps I do not try to develop and enrich myself with training and innovation in English language teaching, but yes, this is the first thing. And the second problem which I believe the teachers face, that is the learning media. Now, why the learning media? Because that is the limitations of learning media facilities. So one can have it, and this problem can exist from school to school. Okay. The third problem which I believe the English teachers might face, that is the delivering material. Because the first problem faced by the English teacher might be, it is lack of students focus or concentration in delivering material. Now this is the constraint in conveying learning material which is there with the children as well. The obstacle is to discuss the subject of English being at noon, that is the last hour. And this is wherein, because see, morning, the children are very much fresh. They are absolutely fresh when they can have their maths period, their science period, their commerce period in the first half. But if you keep English at the last period, the eighth period, by the time it is 1 o'clock, it is 1:30, the child is tired, the child is sleepy. And during that time, you cannot expect the child to be energetic enough, to be fresh enough, and to have the English lectures from the English teachers. So framing of the timetable also and keeping English at the last period also sometimes can have the difficulty for English teachers to make the concentration there in the class. So that is what one of the hurdles which I have faced. And as we know that interest is one of the indicators of the classroom management, one of the most successful classroom management indicators is ensuring that children are kept even when the teacher is preoccupied or caught up in some other class or some other activities also. So that is what I'm talking about. And the last thing is there, that with this time allocation, teachers feel that this makes our difficulty to manage between providing materials and also managing the noise also in the class. Because if you have a class of 50 students, you cannot expect all 50 to maintain the perfect discipline in the class. Okay, if you have certain miscreants in the class, maybe one or two, then those children are only enough to disturb the class. So that depends on the English teacher, that how she has to maintain the perfect discipline in the class by making the class absolute silent and to create some enthusiasm in the class, some kind of atmosphere, so that all 50 concentrate and listen to the teacher. So this is certain limitations which I can find here while teaching English in the classes.
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am. So my next question again links with the second and third questions as well, because we discussed difficulties from a student's point of view, then from the teacher's point of view. So how do you explain barriers to effective learning English in general? As in, like, if you summarize issues from, for all the stakeholders involved in the teaching learning process, like maybe you can include parents, the society, then the teachers, the school management, students, everything from, in general, like, how do you elaborate this?
See, no one can deny the prominent position of English language in global communication. It is enjoying a sovereign status as far as, the prerequisite of each and every professional, but it has its own limitations to be conquered by its learners. As English is not a mother tongue, we face many hurdles in learning. We can even overcome these hurdles by executing specific actions, influence of mother tongue. Now, language learning involves the imitation by the learner, okay, of the sounds, patterns used by other human beings around him. In the learning of a second language, however, the habits already acquired in connection with one's first language comes in one way. Now, each language has a different system, and in foreign language learning, one tends to learn and speak on the basis of the system of one's native language. Now, one has therefore to reject the influence of the mother tongue and reorganize one's habit of listening and speaking. Insufficient exposure. The most striking barrier in learning a second language is this, which I have personally faced. We used to learn how to speak or to practice a second language only for a limited period. That is only to the classroom. The remaining time where we come across different natural events, our communication is carried on in our mother tongue. Okay, hence we have to make the time accordingly. That is, start speaking in English wherever you are without any innovation. That doesn't mean that you have to talk in English only in the English period in the school, and when you're out of the school you speak in your mother tongue. For an example, you speak in Hindi. Now, inability to habituate because of the age factor. Now, as the tongue of a child is so flexible, it can adopt any sound and use it immediately. And children have the tendency of repeating the new sounds and words until they get grip on them. But adults do not possess either flexibility of the language or the tongue or the nature of repetition. That's why they're unable to acquire the sounds of English language, as phonetics in English language is taught to them at an adult age in Indian scenario. Second thing which I feel is reluctance in learning new words. A child can increase its words power so rapidly that it can add number of new words to its brain. But this tendency doesn't exist with the elderly people. We naturally try to skip ourselves from learning new words. We have to come out of this disorder in order to improve our vocabulary in foreign language so that we can achieve that proficiency in the target language. Literal translation from mother tongue to second language, which leads to errors. Now, this is the reason for our mistakes in the second language, as every language has a different system of sounds, words, or structure. We should not translate our ideas literally from our mother tongue into the second language, which leads to errors. We have to know the principles of that language and use it accordingly so that our communication in the second language will be error-free. Lack of adequate and proper reading habit. This is another cause of poor communication in second language. Since childhood, students are used to listen to their teachers, write notes, and reproduce it in the exam. They don't have an interest to read either in the classroom or at home, and they don't practice reading themselves as they try to get only minimum marks in the second language. Hence, they don't know how to read in or turn how to speak properly because of this inadequate reading habit. So lack of qualified and trained teachers, it is an undeniable fact that many private schools, except a few in India, are allowing candidates without degrees in English to teach English from kindergarten to high school students. So as a result, the language competence of most of the Indians is pitiable. In addition to that, no school is facilitating these teachers to enhance their skills and to adopt updated methodologies by attending various teachers programs, and rather than the training programs as well.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. And I totally agree with the facts you've shared, because most of them, I mean, we can see as the barriers to English in Sri Lanka as well. For an example, like most of our children are also trying to go for direct translations from the mother language. Now, for example, like if we take the line as I go home in English, the structure is it's a subject, verb, object. But in Sinhala, the structure is subject, object, and verb. So if you are trying to like go for a direct translation, you might end up saying I home go. So I mean, this happens for most of the students, and in the past, like most of the teachers used an odd practice of like giving the sentences from our mother tongue and asking them to like directly translate it into English. But nowadays, I don't think like most of them are practicing this. So I totally agree with the facts as well, because most of them are familiar to us as well.
Yeah, Hasini, here I would like to give one small example also for an instance when we talk about the literal translation, you know. So a child can speak, my head is rotating round and round. I'm talking about a simple headache. Okay. So if a child doesn't know how to talk it or how to express it, because the child will do just the Hindi literal translation and will speak, my head is rotating round and round. So this is how we need to perfect that art and to bring into the proficiency in the English language.
Yes, ma'am, totally agree. So I mean, as we discussed earlier, also like English is the second language for us, and we are not the native speakers. So literally, we have the mother tongue influence, which you touched a little bit, I think, in an earlier answer as well. So like, how do you handle this mother tongue influence?
Yes. Now, after becoming aware of mistakes which we make while using English with interference of sounds from the mother tongue, we happen to lose our confidence, when speaking English in public, which may result into embarrassment or maybe probably hatred for the English language. Now, I think this is not to be worried about, because it is possible to overcome the mother tongue influence only and only with the hard work and the right practice. Okay, now I think this influence is a major issue in India and cannot be solved in a day, and you require to be patient and take the right actions if you want to overcome this mother tongue influence. Now, I personally believe that when you begin practicing, your brain starts adapting the new speaking style, and the new sounds eventually get ingrained in your brain. Now, as the routine takes hold, the level of effort requires lowers, and once you get used to, the time and effort needed for practice is greatly decreased. Now, few of the techniques which I recommend, which neutralizes the mother tongue influence are: you need to enhance on your pronunciation. Okay, so I often advise my children to go for the pronunciation dictionary. Always keep a dictionary with them, and now we have the dictionary which even speaks out. So that should always be there, because if we get stuck in certain words, please try to help on with the dictionary and enhance your pronunciation. Second is practice English speaking regularly. As I gave the example that English should not be learned only in the English period, but you should develop a habit to often talk in English with your parents, with your friends, with your siblings, with your relative, wherever you are around. So the more you speak, the more you converse in English, the better practice you will have. The third thing which I would want to talk about is performing as much communication in English as possible, even for the simple things also. Even when you are thinking, don't think in your mother tongue. You think in the English language. When you speak in the English language. When you write in the English language. Because the more you do it, the more communication you do it, the more strong command you will have on the English language. And the second thing which I often advise my children is always listen to the English songs. Okay, watch English movies, watch English documentary, whatever you're watching on TV, any source of entertainment, even sports also, any movies, any cartoon or anything, whatever is your interest. Please listen to English songs and watch the English news, documentary, movies, or any cartoon or anything which is of your interest, but only in the English language. Because see, you are watching, you are listening, you are reading, you are writing. So all four areas of English are working. And the last thing is, if possible, I mean, if children want to go for some competitive examinations, some entrance for English language training for going abroad, for an example, IELTS, then they can join a reliable English speaking coaching institute also. So these are the simple tips which I wanted to give.
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am. So when teaching in a class, we happen to deal with children with different requirements, different backgrounds, different levels of capacities. So in that case, how do you maintain a proficiency level across the entire class while teaching learning? I mean, teaching of English as a subject.
See, English skills matter because they give people access to a wider range of information, a more diverse international network, and more job opportunities also than ever before. So what I believe that English proficiency has continued to improve around the world. Now, if we have different sets of children in our class, for each different levels, the teaching style should be very, very different. For the slackers, you should have a different technique. For an average, you should have a different technique. And for the A class cream, you should have a different technique, So you have to teach them according to their levels, according to their standards, because in a batch of 40 to 50, you don't have the children of the same level. If I show you my 5 fingers, all 5 fingers are different. So this is how you need to access the class. This is how you need to access the children. And this is how you need to access the proficiency of the children as per their needs, as per their standard, as per their level, because there are different things, and the teacher should need the balance also. She should know that how to tackle the class and how to tackle the different class of people sitting in her class. So that depends on what technique she uses for delivering her lecture.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Now, in order to practice 21st century skills, the teacher should upgrade the role from a transmitter to maybe a facilitator. and should be strategically prepared. So what are the best techniques to be followed side by side with this regular syllabus in teaching English?
Okay, now this is a very good question because this is my personal favorite. I personally believe that the teacher should teach beyond textbooks also, you know, beyond textbooks, because those small, petty, small books, NCRT, that is not what English is all about, you know, beyond classes. Why? See, syllabus is one thing that is a part of the curriculum which we need to cover in a class, but adding a different techniques while teaching the lecture, that is something very important, because this is how the creativity is built up in the class, and how the class is made interesting, and how the children are enthusiastic. For an example, when a teacher speaks something, or when a teacher is teaching a poem, or teaching a prose, a particular chapter, so teacher needs to build in role play into it. Okay, she should talk about the dialogue delivery. She should enact the entire thing in the form of a skit by giving different roles to the different children. Okay, children themselves will also enjoy. Teacher can also use flashcards while in the form of a teaching aid to make her lecture more interesting. And nowadays, you know, since pandemic was there, and I believe it was a blessing in disguise, so a teacher can put up various YouTube videos also. Various beautiful PPTs are there, or which cover different part of the syllabus. So along with the lecture method, along with the descriptive method, along with the NCRT textbook, what the teacher is using, a teacher can teach or make her class more interesting with the help of all this audio visual, and all, with the help of all these social media platforms, you know, by giving some important assignments in the Google Classroom, or even the MS Team, or giving some beautiful YouTube videos to the children. Because more the child views the audio visual, the more, you know, interesting the chapter becomes. Because lecture is one thing, and then try to involve the children in the classroom activities also. For an example, when I talked about the sobriquet, I talked about the extempore, I talk about the speech, I talk about the debate. I mean, give them certain topics from the chapter itself, and break the class into small zones, and immediately on the spot you conduct a debate, you conduct a speech in the class itself. Try to break the class into small groups, and divide them, and give them the role plays, give them the dialogue delivery, tell them to enact the skit in the class based on the poem, based on the prose. So this is how you involve the entire class. You are not teaching only the cream, but you are involving the entire class. So this is how, you know, the communication is there, the collaboration is there, the critical thinking is there, and a child gets, you know, vibrant and enthusiastic about English as a subject. So I personally do it, and believe me, it is a win-win success, you know, because if I teach only from the textbook, discuss the question answer, syllabus is over, the child will never have an interest to attend the class again, because what the child feel, that the chapter is read about, it is explained, question answers from the back exercise is discussed, and the syllabus is over. My idea is not covering the syllabus. My idea is to develop an interest in the English language, and this is how I often do it in my classes. And believe me, children enjoy loving and attending the English classes from me.
Yeah, totally agree, man. Very true, because it should be a participative approach.
Yes.
And it should entertain the child. So I totally agree with the facts here you've shared. Thank you, ma'am. And this question again links with the previous question as well. So what are the techniques that can be used to motivate a student, or to encourage a student, especially to speak the language?
Yes. This is also a good one, how to motivate a child. See, in the previous question, I discussed what all techniques can be used along with the syllabus. Okay, but when you are talking about the motivation, the English teacher could conduct the English weeks in her particular school. Okay, in English week, wherein some good activities can be given to the certain child. For an example, suppose if an English club is there, okay, involve the children of the English club to make different activities. For an example, they can stage play a drama from Shakespeare. Okay, they can come up with different character roles, okay, from various era. It can be historical characters, it can be poets, it can be some politician, it could be some Bollywood actors, or any political figure, or any historian, or anybody, and then they can come in that particular costume, and then they can give up their ideas on that particular day. And also theme based assemblies to be conducted, wherein us different children, all different children should be involved. One of them can be given, one of them can be asked to present the news of the day, one of them can be asked to present the thought of the day, one of them can be requested to sing a song, one of them can be requested to give a speech on a particular day. All different days are there, that today it is this day, so that those days can be deliberated. That means how to create the confidence on the child, stage phobia, because children certainly have that stage phobia. So we have to work on that, we have to motivate the child. See, straight away we can't expect the child to come and face the media, come and face the stage, come and give the mic in his hand. No, first we need to motivate the child to speak up with the little topics. You make the child do it in the class, okay, do it in the remedial classes also, which we normally keep during the stay backs, and then tell the child, yes, you have mastered this small art. Now you're confident enough to speak 2 lines, you're confident enough to speak 4 lines. Now why don't you participate in the class assemblies? Okay, please come on the stage, speak 2 or 3 lines, and then gradually you have to motivate the child to participate in the inter-school competition, inter-zonal competitions. But that thing should be gradual, and build the confidence in the child. Yes, you can do it. And what I personally feel, please don't only allow the cream, the A graders to participate in all competitions, in all activities. Please give the chance to the average students also, and the slackers also, and below average students also, because everyone should be given this importance. Yes, I can do it. Nothing is impossible, because impossible itself says that I am possible. And that is the job of an English teacher, to make the child believe, yes, I can do it, I can combat this language, though it is a foreign language, so what, I can combat it and I can do it. But that depends on the teacher only, to motivate the child, to encourage the child, and to participate in all this. Whether if I talk about English week, whether I talk about the English club activities, I talk about the inter-school competitions or zonal competitions, and please take the child to the national level and to the international level. Make him participate in spelling bee, make him participate in all international level of debates and speech and articles. Because I believe in, when I talk about India, okay, when I talk about Amrit Mahotsav and everything, even Modi ji is coming out with different programs for CBSE, different programs for the children. So usually we should encourage our child to participate, whether it is, I believe each one of us have done that poster activity through this Amrit Mahotsav. We have done the postcard activity also. We have done the Prime Minister campaign to the Prime Minister, letters also, and everything. So I believe when we motivate each and every child, so the child should not be felt left alone. The child should feel, yes, my teacher is with me, my teacher feels the confidence in me, and I think I should come up to her expectations. Let me participate, let me give my best. And I believe if there is a positivity all around, certainly we will get the result.
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am. I personally support the last fact, because we should not only encourage the cream,
Yes.
we should encourage, everyone, almost everyone, we should give the chance to give the opportunity to almost everyone, because it happens I have experienced this when, as a student, when I was in school, for maybe for English day, for any other day, it's almost the same group of children who are performing. Like if when it comes to drama, there's a famous group in the school. They'll be doing the drama, the other group will be performing the choir. So likewise, they have already selected the cream and they have labeled them. So the other students even like,
this is something psychological. You are talking about Sri Lanka, I'm talking about India, but this is the psychology. Because see, when a child is admitted to nursery, so nursery, KG, class 1, class 2, the few children build up this image, yeah, these one are the good ones. So these have been promoted till primary level. The same cream goes to the middle level. Okay, the middle level teachers also find, and they will also promote the same children who were there in the primary level. Fine, so the same group of students are promoted at the middle level, and when they come to the senior level, the senior teachers also promote the same level, because they feel they are already the winners. They are already the zonal winners, they are already the cream, so they need not work hard on the other children. So this is where the teachers are wrong. Why we want the ready-made food to be served on the platter? Why doesn't the teacher want to work hard and give the chance to the other children also? We know those are the cream, and even when at the senior level, when we allow them to participate somewhere, obviously they will come with a gold medal, obviously they will be the national winners, they will be the international winners. But what about the other children? Are we so partial? Okay, so this is what I feel is the folly of the teachers. And personally, I mean, if I talk about, we should give chance to each and everybody sitting in the class to participate and come up with something good.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, because sometimes, like, I mean, when because of this practice, like, some children might not get the chance at the school, but all of a sudden, maybe at the university, like, we might like meet a superstar. I mean, who was not performing at the school level, because maybe at the university, everyone is getting the same opportunity. So those children were like hidden stars during the school period because of this, like, because of this practice. So like, if the equal opportunity was there, like, they could have brushed up their talents, like, from the school age itself. So I totally agree with this fact, ma'am. And like, again, when we are moving to the next question, also, like, we can elaborate more on this point, I guess, because like now as a developing country, like, we are facing issues with regard to resource allocation, equal distribution of facilities, and hence, like, the development varies from cities to city, from village to village. So when it comes to English also, like, we experience almost the same scenario in my country. For example, now when we take the main city, Colombo, students are like almost very confident when it comes to spoken English. They are very fluent, but there are some rural villages, those children can, I mean, they can just manage with one or two words in English. Like, I mean, they really don't know how to communicate in the language, in the English language. And the rest of the students, the majority, can just communicate. I mean, they can use the language just as a mode of communication with the assistants. So like, it's a mix of like applicability when it comes to Sri Lanka. So I believe it's the same in your country as well. So
Yes,
how,
yes.
I mean, how about the range and applicability of English for your country learners?
See, to be very frank, when I talk about my particular school, the children who are coming from the affluent backdrops, okay, backgrounds wherein the parents are working, parents are in good jobs, okay, good backgrounds and all, so their children are absolutely fluent. When I talk about the B category of children, wherein the parents are in certain government jobs, and the brothers sisters are quite intelligent enough, they also can maintain that English proficiency to a certain level. Okay, so A class, that is the cream. B class, that is also good. But when I talk about the C class, there I face a little difficulty, because that is the strata wherein the children are coming from the poor background, for an example, from a village. And yes, the mother tongue, that particular mother tongue is so strong, the influence is so strong, and basically the parents are not that educated. Okay, even if the father is educated, the mother is not educated, mother is illiterate, or the grandparents are illiterate. So basically it is the family background which is of prime importance, because there what happens there, the mode of communication is their native language. Okay, so it has such an influence on the children that when they come to school, they feel happy to communicate in their mother tongue, in their native language, instead of talking, instead of communicating in English. But see, we cannot be so rude with them, we cannot be so strict with them, but yes, very diplomatically we handle the situation and we tell, we are not against your mother tongue, we are not against the native language, but the protocol of the school says that yes, this is an English medium school. Once you step inside the school, you need to talk in English. Okay, you go home, you talk in any language, that is not a concern to it. But yes, yes, you are very much true. We also have a mixed bag of the children coming up with different languages. Okay, A class is there, B class is there, but then we also have the C class of children who are not that proficient in English, and these are the ones wherein we have to work hard on these children, because they don't have an atmosphere of talking in English at home throughout. Because when we communicate, when their parents or grandparents also come in the PTM, they communicate to us in their own local language, in their own regional language. Okay, and when we have the A class or the B class children parents coming to us, they absolutely talk in fluent English. So this is how we have seen the allocation of proficiency of English divided into the three class, and I believe we have to work on it.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. So throughout these interviews, we've focused on the factor 21st century skills. So thus highlighting the world's status as a global village. So in such a background, like bilingual competence comes to play a vital role. So how do you elaborate the importance of developing bilingual competencies?
Hasili, this is a very good question. Bilingual. I believe it increases the brain power, because learning a language is a great way to keep your brain healthy and sharp. Being bilingual can improve a person's multitasking skills, attention control, problem solving, and creativity, as it promotes outside the box thinking. It can also help improve your memory, handy when shopping and remembering people's name. And also it can give children an academic advantage also. How? Because studies have shown that bilingual children can outperform monolingual children in a number of subject areas. The effects of bilingualism can help improve a child's educational development, cognitive functions, social skills, literacy, and emotional skills that have positive effects for many years to come. It also increases awareness of other cultures as well, because being bilingual exposes an individual to diverse customs, ideas, and perspectives from different cultures. Of course, you can still learn about other cultures without knowing a second language, but language learning really allows for a more immersive experience. It can even make your travel easier and more enjoyable, because if you aspire to be a globetrotter, learning language is a must, because traveling is a more fun and easier when isn't a language barrier. You can have more immersive, authentic experience. You will able to talk directly with the locals, make more friends along the way, knowing what food to order without pointing at pictures and asking for directions when you get lost. And that is also a bonus point. And also it improves competitiveness in the job market, because speaking a second language can provide more job opportunities depending on which language you speak. Communication in the workplace is important, and more companies, especially those with international offices, are considering bilingualism as a high priority. Being able to communicate with foreign clients or customers is considered a big advantage too. And I think it is easier to learn a third language as well. You can better raise your kids bilingually, because you can even stay mental stronger for longer and improve your social life also. And it can make you more and more attractive. Why? Because being bilingual should boost your confidence everywhere. Okay, so I think there are more and more advantages of learning it. And my question is, if I give a small example here, is for learning there is no age, and for learning a second language, there is no age. And even if you can learn more than second language, there is never an age, because see, learning enhances your personality. And what's the harm? What's the harm if it is an edge to your personality, and it can be, it can come with added benefit. There is no loss. Okay, so I think it is a good advice, and it should be good, when we reap in more benefits rather than the loss. So I believe bilingualism is a hit.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much, ma'am. So in the present context, like the school education is mostly backed up by the private education or else the tuition classes. So I'm not trying to justify the extent of the effectiveness or the outcomes of this. But like, however, I would like to discuss the impact from tuition classes and other private classes to English in your country.
Sorry, please repeat the question.
Yeah, ma'am. Now, I mean, at present, the education is always backed up by private teaching, private tuition classes.
Okay.
So, like, what's the impact from tuition classes and other private classes in your country for the language of English?
See, for an example, if I talk about my country, if I talk about my school and all, tuitions are a big hit if I talk about mathematics, if I talk about science, if I talk about commerce. Okay, physics, chemistry, maths, economics, business studies, accounts. Okay, but when you talk about English, English doesn't have any class for the tuition. Why? Because children are so hard pressed for all these technical subjects, they don't have time for the tuitions for English. Because see, there are two factors. One is the time constraint. Okay, the child has to have 2 or 3 minimum tuitions in a day, so the child will choose for a technical subject, maybe mathematics, or maybe some science, or maybe some commerce subject. Fine. The second thing here, when I talk about this, that is the financial end also, because a parent cannot afford to have the tuitions of all the 5 or 6 subjects. So in India, when I talk about English, only in English I'm talking about, English tuitions are very minimum in comparison to the others. But yes, of course, if I talk about the private tuitions and all, it is a hit and hit only when a child needs to travel abroad and to clear IELTS. For IELTS, there should be a proper coaching. And yes, children do have these classes, and these coaching institutes are a massive hit in India, because then we need to have the children traveling abroad and they need to clear IELTS. For clearing IELTS, minimum 6 or 7 band is required, max is 9 or 10, but it is a compulsory thing. So if I talk about the private tuitions, forget about the private tuitions of the classes, say 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. It is there. Children do take it, but yes, the tendency of English tuitions are less in comparison to the science, maths, or the accounts one, for the commerce one. But yes, when I talk about the English proficiency or the language course to be done for going abroad, then yes, it is, of course, it is there. And it is a massive hit. Children do take, and it is mushrooming up well. And it has a good market in India.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. So our students, I mean, the majority of the students in developing countries like us still have a long way to go in terms of English usage and becoming competent in this language. Because still there's a lot of resistance to English among us children. So why do so many children in schools still think that English is not so cool? So how do you deal with this resistance?
See, for this, we need what I told you earlier also. We need to develop some techniques. We need to develop some interest to the children to make it absolutely important and absolutely cool. You said it's not cool, but then it depends on the English teacher to make her subject cool, to make her subject interesting. Now, how it can be interesting is that the teacher need to use lots and lots of visuals. For an example, images. That is great for supporting learning. A child may not understand that the word pencil means pencil, but they recognize what a picture of a pencil is. By combining text with the images, children will be able to develop that better understanding. And pictures also add some color to your classroom, making it more interesting and a better learning environment. So we need to do it a lot to give them the visual background also, along with the textual one. And second thing is, you have to keep it very, very simple. Don't make your subject technical. This is especially important when dealing with beginners. I'm talking about the primary classes and all. Try to keep sentences simple so that learners can develop their knowledge, and then you can build on it. You could, for example, ensure their understanding of simple instructions that you use in the class. This could be things like stop and listen, or put your pens down. These short but informative sentences will be learned. Okay. And if you try to start with a heavy vocabulary, children will not able to understand. So try to keep it simple so that actually they grab what you are speaking. They try to retain, and then they try to speak it out also. And then please teach your subject with little bit of fun. Why? Because we learn more when we are having fun. The more engaged we are in a task, the more we are bound to pick up. And finding fun in the classroom can be really very easy, and doesn't mean slacking off from learning. There are so many fun teaching resources. It is available everywhere. There are so many activities and games we can do along with our teaching. There are so many crosswords and puzzles and so many things we can do along with the chapter to create the interest of the child. And as I told earlier also, please, please, please apply the role play, because role play is a fantastic way to develop your learners' speaking skills and their confidence. By giving the various role play scenarios, learners will be able to develop and practice their different vocabulary in various fun ways. And role plays can also be really useful for those who are just watching it. Okay, if certain learners, they don't feel confident enough to get up in front of the class, they pretend to be a customer in a cafe. They can still pick up speaking tips from watching their classmates do it. Okay, so that is something very, very important when I talk about this. And please try to use some technology also, because it has quickly becomes men's best friend over the recent years, especially during the pandemic, and it should become a teacher's best friend too. So technology is a great way to get children engaged in a lesson with so many apps. Interactive games and platforms are there. There's a lot a teacher can choose from within the lessons only to make it more interesting. She can even have the quizzes also. She can even have the canvas also. Okay, and try to give the activity to the child. Make a greeting card, make a poster on the canvas. Okay, and come up with some quizzes also, so that the children do it. And next important thing is, please try to use debate in the class, because using debates can be a fantastic way for your children to develop their speaking skills, persuasive language skills, and do such more. They can also be really fun activities to get involved in. Choose a topic that children will be able to give their opinions on. Food is always good. One for this. Why not pasta or pizza? Sweet or savory? Split the class into two halves. One for the motion, one against the motion. Okay, make somebody as the interjector also, who can come up with various questions. Use stories in your class, because books are a great way for learners to develop their language skill. Stories allow children to use their imagination, picturing impossible places and people, creating a sense of adventure and fun. So using this help to teach language, and it can be very, very interesting, because it can even help with the pronunciation and spelling also. And last but not least, please give them the English holidays. Why? Because using English holidays can be a fantastic way to create, again, a fun classroom environment, whether you look at Christmas, whether you look at New Year, Holi, Diwali, or any special day. You can find resources to support your teaching on that particular topic. This can give children a chance to also get creative and explore other culture. For an example, now we are about to have the summer break, okay, after the examination. So give them wonderful summer holiday homework, something creative. They can work on the PPTs, they can work on some presentation, they can develop a small app. Okay, and may give them something innovative, something creative, so that the children have some interest. Okay, and this is how what I sum up.
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am. I think with that question, we can wind up the session. So thank you very much, Dr. Shelly, for for making this session so interactive, so informative and organized in terms of your answers. And I thank Dr. Dheeraj for joining.
But Hasini, one last thing which I want to speak before we wind up the session is, please make every child unique. Okay, because we teach one child, but we develop the whole child. Make every child special in your class. Okay, give every child such an importance that you are the hero of the class, you are the heroine of the class, you know, and yes, you can do it, you can nail it. Try to build up that confidence. Okay, and please come out of the boundaries of the textbooks. Okay, artificial intelligence is there. When I talk about NEP 2020, NEP 2020, it is what? It is more of a playway method, more of fun way method. Okay, this roting is not in at all. Okay, cramming is not in at all. Try to do artificial intelligence with all the subject, with all the topics which you are dealing with. So when you will have that playway method with the child, you know, the child certainly will come in your class, will take interest in your class, and will say, wow, English is such a fun filled language, and yes, it is not boring at all, irrespective of whether we have English as the last period, because that is my personal experience. If I have the 8th period as the English period, my class 12 desperately wait for me to come, because they know ma'am will come with some fun filled activities. Okay, and I'll not let the child sleep in my class, because I don't read, I don't explain. I make the children stand up, okay, and perform certain activities and deliver something. Okay, so try to build the confidence in the child and try to teach them in a playway method rather than the boring traditional textbook method, beyond the classroom, beyond the textbooks. That is what my approach for today's session is.
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am, for that advice as well. It means a lot for us as freshers to this field. Thank you very much, ma'am, and thank you very much for your valuable time
So much.
on this interview. Thank you very much. And last but not least, I would like to remind you all about the summit again. It's the South Asian Educational Summit 2022, which will be from 18th to 20th June this year in Colombo, Sri Lanka. And ma'am, I hope to see you also at the summit if possible. And hopefully Dr. Dheeraj will join with us. So I invite everyone else to join if possible to this summit. So with that, I think we can wind up this interview. Once again, thank you very much, and good night, everyone.
Okay, thank you so much, Hasini and Dr. Dheeraj, for the session. It was a pleasure to have you with us.